Destination Medicine is a joint project of the regional training hubs. This podcast series brings you medical students' accounts of their experience in applying to study medicine. Welcome to Destination Medicine. I'm Peter Letts. Growing up in rural Tasmania, Loni Schramm never imagined becoming a doctor, especially not in the Northern Territory. But a move to Darwin, a psychology degree, and a leap of faith into medicine changed everything. Loni shares her unconventional journey, from self-doubt to studying medicine in Alice Springs, working with First Nations communities, and building a rural health student society. Loni starts off by describing her big move north to Nicole Goodman.
I did grow up in Tassie and it was cold and beautiful. And then I moved to the Northern Territory in Darwin for my relationship, my then relationship. And that was a blessing in disguise. I ended up, first of all, working in the hospital while I was figuring myself out. And then I decided to continue my degree in psychology. I finished that. And then I decided it might be actually an option for me to do medicine. And I was very lucky that there was a program that was kind of perfect for me to have a go at.
Yeah, wow. Was becoming a doctor and studying medicine, was that always something that was in the back of your mind, or when did that kick in?
Well, in Tasmania, I didn't feel like it was an option. The kids who ended up studying medicine in Tassie ended up studying very different courses in their college time. So they did all of the biology courses, and I didn't really do any of that. I just did the arts, more arts focused. I played piano and I painted. And so I thought, it might be better for me to be a psychologist. So it never was really an option until I came to Darwin.
Right. You also sat the GAMSAT, obviously. How did you find it? And do you have any advice for listeners planning to sit the exams in the future?
I am really not the right person to ask about this. I wish I was. I really do. Well, I have all the practice materials and still do. I barely looked at them, and it was something that I think it was a lot of imposter syndrome, where the option to study medicine was so far out of reach my whole life. And even though as you said, I probably did want to do medicine, I wanted to help people in a different way than not just mental health, but be able to prescribe medication. I really didn't think that I'd be able to do much in the way of getting there, and the exam was so difficult in my mind. So I was like, I probably won't get in. I probably won't do very well. So I did study a little bit. I had a look at the practice questions. I thought I'd give it a good crack, but I ended up, just doing actually all right and good enough to get in, which was very surprising, quite a shock to me.
Wow.
Which is not helpful for the listeners who are looking at finding a way of how to study the best techniques to get in. But I really think that what worked for me is focusing on my strengths. So biology questions, because I never studied much biology or chemistry, were very, very hard. And so I did my best for those. But to be honest, it was the other two categories in the exam out of the three, which were more based on logic and creative writing and rationalising, that I did well in.
Right. But you would have come out of that with a lot more confidence, I would have thought, did you?
It was very surprising and shocking and gratifying, but you never say goodbye to imposter syndrome. It's always there, especially when you look at these human sciences students that have come straight from high school into medicine are incredibly intelligent and very good at what they do. I seem to excel in the other end in terms of when I'm in front of a patient, putting the patient at ease, being able to talk to them and get to the real root of why they're there in front of me. And I found that that's been a huge asset in terms of becoming a doctor and as a student as well. Just that confidence as well. You're right. It has served me a huge deal in other ways.
Now, you did mention that you play the piano, but you're a trained pianist. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so piano is definitely a huge part of my life. Unfortunately, while I'm here in Alice Springs for the year, I wasn't able to bring my piano up the country like Tim Minchin did in his show. Brilliant show. Yes, I miss it very much. I played piano since I was about 6, and I had lessons for a good 15 years. And that really helps a lot. It's almost like music therapy in a profession like I had and currently going through medicine, music is incredibly powerful. In terms of a trained pianist, I have imposter syndrome. I will perform, but only for like very close friends.
Yeah, talent is certainly one aspect of any pursuit, but having the confidence to stand in front of people or sit in front of people and perform is a completely different mindset. So I completely understand. But what a talent to have. Wow. And also, you're playing for so many years, shows, drive, determination, dedication, everything you need for a medical career. So, all of that stood you in great stead as well. Now, you're currently a student in the Northern Territory Medical Program. Tell us a little bit more about that.
So when I first moved to Darwin and found out about this program, I was just finishing my psych degree. And so I found out that it was a program that postgraduate students can enter into. So people who are already in their careers and they're looking for something different, or they've always wanted to do something in medicine. And so you can apply for that, go through the GAMSAT, take an interview if you're successful, and you'll get into the 4-year program. It's divided into 2 years non-clinical and then 2 years clinical in the local hospital, whether that be the Royal Darwin or Catherine Nhulunbuy out on the West Arnhem Land. You can spend 6 months there or in Catherine Hospital, or you can do, for your 3rd year, a full year in Alice Springs Hospital in the accommodation that they have there for you, which is fantastic. And the best part about the 4-year degree is that it's through the Northern Territory government. So they're paying you for your degree, and after the degree's finished, you'll pay them back with 2 years' work, wherever they send you, really, whether you'd like to go to Alice Springs Hospital and do it there, or you can do it at Royal Darwin Hospital.
What is the program like in the Northern Territory, and what have you found different or beneficial of being in that part of the country?
That's a great question. It's incredibly powerful to see the effects you can have that's directly impacting on the people who you're serving as a student. Studying in the Northern Territory Medical Program is unique because the cohort is so small. It's around 30 students. I think the year below us is now 40, and the next year might be 50.
Wow.
So you're really looking at very much under 100 students in your cohort. And it's such a small campus that you see everyone like every day for those entire 4 years. Even on placement, we have classes together. Even if you're away on remote clinics, you get to see them online. You stay in touch and you form this close family of students. You really get to know your people and yourself with the way that you form these relationships with them. Even before you get to clinical years, you have these supports that are so strong. And whether you get on with these people or not, you have to. I think you develop as a person yourself in that way. And the population is so different from anywhere down south that you're treating.
And what about downtime in the Northern Territory? So when you're not working or studying, what does the Northern Territory offer you?
Yeah, that's a good question too, because a lot of students might consider doing this program from down south and they hear the stories about, crime and not much to do and the weather and the cyclones and things. I can guarantee you there's beautiful country, and if you like rural remote work, you'll love it here. Especially in Alice Springs where I'm at the moment, but you have these incredible running tracks and camping spots. The weather's absolutely incredible. It can be icy cold, very dry, but also hot. It's almost like a regular Adelaide winter up here. It's beautiful. Just the other weekend, I did the Westmax Monster 25 kilometres marathon, and that was absolutely incredible on the Larapinta Trail. Some beautiful tracks, both mountain biking and running and camping areas, as I said, next to huge waterfalls. It's great. And down at the top end in Darwin, you've got the whole of the Kakadu National Park to explore, which is about 2 or 3 hours drive down the road. Stunning. The best scenery you could imagine, probably in the country. Huge waterfalls and, yeah.
It is beautiful. I've actually been there. It's quite majestic and it's magnificent. A wonderful place for an outdoor lifestyle. Loni, you're about 2.5 years in, so past the halfway mark of your medical degree now. Tell us what the next few years look like for you.
Just this year I was accepted into the MECA program, which is the Medical Education of Central Australia program. That's unique to the Northern Territory medical program in that students can elect to spend 10 months of their degree located directly in Alice Springs, and they provide accommodation for that entire year. 1 day a week you're posted at a GP clinic, which is an Aboriginal Congress. So you see a lot of First Nations people so for me it's every Thursday I spend. And then the rest of the days you're spending at Alice Springs Hospital. So you get rotations around doing ophthalmology, paediatrics, there's psychiatry. I'm on ED at the moment for about 8 weeks, which is a very long term, and I'm enjoying it very much. Incredible medicine here as well. So you get to see things that a lot of doctors I've heard say that they don't see anywhere else down south, and they never will, and they want to stay to see more of that, and they'll come back. Doctors from the UK come here a lot and love it.
Tell us about some of the things that you see that you otherwise wouldn't at other parts of the country and overseas.
Well, yeah, where do I start? There's good and bad medicine in the sense that you have a lot of the demographic who are living in poverty and essentially come in with diseases of poverty. Most prominently and significantly is the heart disease and liver disease and kidney disease that the First Nations populations present with. For example, so far in ED, we've had multiple presentations of people younger than 16 with advanced rheumatic heart disease. Teenagers that have had major heart surgery, like huge scars down their chest because they need valve replacements. And I think it was just last year that there was a UK health organisation that declared that rheumatic heart disease was resolved in the world, mostly resolved. So we're a first world country and we've got children dying of this disease. But again, there's happy stories too, like lots of babies being born on country, and we've got so many resources to support First Nations people with their culture. We've got a lot of Aboriginal liaison officers that are stationed for every ward, and there's some incredible work that they do. The CARS Society that I'm now president of here is trying to work to help raise awareness of their program and their department in Ash.
Well, speaking of CARS, you're also a Rural Health Club president as well, aren't you?
Yeah, I am. So I was the president of STAR last year, and I've handed the reins over to one of my peers. But this year I've decided to start up the Central Australian Remote Health Students Society, which is a rural health club in Alice Springs, which is one of 2 in Northern Territory. So the things that I've been able to achieve with CARS this year so far is completely set it up from scratch. So it's been quite difficult to engage all of the, try and get committee members together and get all the merch and some funding. But basically what we've got lined up for all the students in Central Australia so far is to go to some high school visits next semester and conduct some engagement with the local high schools. So Urara College, we'll probably go there and run some workshops and try and engage them in some pretty cool and exciting opportunities, especially with the hospital, and do some collaboration there, bring them into the hospital perhaps, show them how to do some basic life support and plaster casts and things like that. In the health clinic at Tennant Creek, they have these amazing remote area nurses who run these really great programs for First Nations people in terms of training groups. And so we're going to start up a women's training group support breakfast, which we'll fund for the year in Tennant Creek, and then some Aboriginal health liaison supports as well, and raising awareness of what they do around the hospital. So Sorry business cards is what we're hoping to get started next semester, to raise awareness for people who come in for Sorry business. And they can just show the card to physicians and doctors, so it's more of an understanding about what's going on with them at the time.
I want to ask you, a lot of students speak of mentors or someone who's had a particular impact on their medical school journey. Has there been someone who's had a significant influence or helped you along the way?
Yeah, absolutely. Last year I was allocated a mentor who I was very lucky to meet, and he's now moved to Queensland and he's on the Gold Coast doing his last year of physician training, I think. As a cardiologist, and he was absolutely incredible last year for me in experiencing what it's like to be a doctor, be a part of a team, and just to see what it's like really working in that job, because you never really know what it's like to be a doctor. You just don't. And he let me in on that world and follow him alongside really incredible experiences, not just with patients, but with other doctors, including the politics of being a doctor in the Northern Territory. That's a huge topic. And it's a lot of work and it's a lot of energy to learn and study to get to where he is. And I really appreciated him showing me what that means and what it would take.
They're invaluable, these mentors and people that come in and help guide on what is an unknown and can be, as you have explained, an intimidating and slightly scary journey. But
it's terrifying, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely horrifying. Some of the things that I saw. One of the experiences I remember, there was a patient that I was able to follow from ED all the way to the cath lab, in particular at the Royal Darwin Hospital. And this patient unfortunately passed away on that journey, and I was able to be a part of that and to watch that happen with the team that were trying to, save him, and watching the family come to see the body and to how the doctors helped that journey of that patient and their family through that was one of the most profound experiences that I'll probably ever have as a student.
I can only imagine, particularly if you're someone like yourself who has such strong communication skills, high empathy, all of that. It must be incredibly challenging.
Yeah, it's interesting. When I'm in front of other people, I tend to compartmentalise quite quickly and not really realise the effects of what's happened until afterwards. And I think that's a pretty common story for a lot of physicians and clinicians that work in the hospital and in GP and in remote clinics. You don't think about it. It's just happening and it happens. You're there for the patient and then you step out and it's just, everything just hits you. It just requires you to have a really strong support system, which is a great thing about being part of the program here in Northern Territory, is that you have those people who've known you since day dot, since you knew nothing. And now you finally are learning things together. And the journey is so different for each of us. We just have to be with each other and understand each other through it.
With all of that in mind, and as we wrap up our chat, what do you think is the best piece of advice that you've been given since you started your journey into medicine, and something that you carry with you to this day?
It's going to come from one of my friends that I met, who was, I think he was doing a surgery training in Victoria, and I met him when I was doing one of my placements at Royal Darwin Hospital as a preclinical student last year. I think I was stressing out because I didn't know the answer to one of the questions, what was wrong with a particular patient. And then he said, look, you need to stop stressing. You need to stop worrying so much. You are an egg. You're not even hatched yet. So how are you going to know what to expect or what to do here? Like, you don't even know what the world is. And you won't even know until you're fully out of your shell, hatched, starting to kind of try and wobble and fly. And you won't even know how to fly until you reach your internship. And even then, you're going to be real shaky and you won't know really what you're doing until you can actually soar, like probably PGY 5 at this stage, so that was really good advice for me. I'm like, yeah, I'm in an egg. I have a protection around me. I have a big shell and I'm going to eventually get out. Another great thing to remember when you're going through med school is that, a great doctor will never just have the one focus. It's not productive. It's not sustainable. You want something outside of medicine. You want close friends that are not related to medicine. You want people who are so different, but yet so close to you and who know you so well. Relationships outside of medicine, I think, are so important and not to be taken lightly. They're precious. Yeah, and have things outside of medicine. And the reason I'm going back into running is because a lot of the doctors here do run. They run incredible distances. Like there's 200 kilometre and 160 kilometre tracks that they will just run. And you need something outside of medicine, whether it be regular catch up with friends or just something, anything. Music, really important as well. Can't stress that enough, yeah.
Loni Schramm, a Flinders University third-year medical student studying in the Northern Territory. This is Destination Medicine. Thanks for listening. Regional training hubs are supported by funding from the Australian Government under the Rural Health Multidisciplinary Training Program.